Good evening, everybody. I'd like to do another installment for my um, preacher's course. This is video number 11. When it's in the book, it'll be chapter 8, and it'll be how to learn to preach. How to learn to preach. Now, this is a huge topic, but I want to suggest 4 major things that could be a sort of the early career of a preacher. The first thing is to begin a Sunday school class. Now, you may not have a Sunday school class in your church. If you do have a Sunday school class in your church, then go to the superintendent of the church and say, I would like to take a Sunday school class, please. This will become, this is not a short-term thing. Becoming a preacher is not something that it is something that you do overnight. It's not a short course. This is the long course. This is the marathon, not the sprint. And it's a lifelong education, and it involves many different types of spiritual gifts. If you're a young Christian in age or a young Christian in experience, then begin by teaching a regular Sunday school class. So this is a class that will occur every Sunday. Of course, there'll be slight holiday breaks, and there might be Christmas and Easter and all that. But the main thing is that you will become a Sunday school teacher on a long-term basis. And of course, some people continue being a Sunday school teacher right on into their latter life. I mean, it's well known that that's the case. And it will enable you to begin a speaking ministry without any fanfare. There'll be no trumpet sounding. It'll just be you teaching. And you need to start teaching in the beginning all the classic Bible stories. So you'll have David and Goliath. You will have Noah and the flood. You will have Daniel in the den of lions. You will have Joshua at the battle of Jericho. And I'm sure that you can start thinking of all the most familiar Bible stories, the thrilling Bible stories which you would like to teach to your class. And these stories will give you plenty of interesting material. Now, I learned in a small Bible class myself, but in the slightly later years, we used to hold a children's service. And so there were 4 of us in the children's service, and one week you would tell the story. The next week, you would be the quiz master for last week's story. On the next week, you would be the person that would compare the whole. You would be the person leading the whole meeting, and then on the 4th week, you'd be the one that does the Bible reading and the prayer. And what this did is it brought me into all these different types of aspects of ministry, and I can tell you which ones were my favourite and which ones were my least favourite, but that wasn't quite the point really. The point was that I was learning to do all these different types of aspects of a service. It's all about standing in front of people and leading in some way. Now, you will teach a class. You can teach a class beginning at the age of about 15 if you're thoroughly converted, and you can go right up to 50, 60 or 70 years of age. It's a tremendous opportunity in life, and it will bring skills to you, and it'll bring experience to you, which will be invaluable. The important thing about being a Sunday school teacher is consistency. It's all about teaching on a regular basis every week, all the way through, and going on for year after year after year, and going with generation after generation after generation. So you might teach you might teach children today, but after what, 10, 15 years, you're going to be teaching adults. And after that, you're then going to be teaching parents. And then after that, you're then going to be teaching grandparents. This is an ongoing ministry. When teaching, the story that is communicated, first of all, it needs to be accurate. It needs to be what the Bible actually says, not what you think it says. This is why it's so important to really read thoroughly and understand accurately what's being said. The second thing, it needs to be lively. It should be told, generally speaking, with a lift and with a smile, and it should be interesting, and it should be engaging with the children. It should be imaginative. So we use our imaginations in telling the story, while at the same time remaining rooted in the passage itself. That's very important. It will need to be thoroughly worked out, thought out, and it needs to also be practically applied to the children. That is, you're not going to tell people to become like David and go around slaying giants, but you can talk to children about the big people in their life, the people that might make them feel afraid, the people that are cruel, and how through prayer, and by living the Christian life, they might be able to overcome the most difficult of circumstances. And you will need to, as a Sunday school teacher, learn the arts of crowd control. Anybody that's had a Sunday school class more than 4 people knows that very often it's crowd control. And I could tell you some tips about how I do that. Now, discipline and the authority of the teacher, while remaining kind and thoughtful, they're going to be skills that you need to learn, and you will need to learn those things. You might need to continue to teach a class for up to 4 years every week to become thoroughly proficient in Sunday school teaching. I always think that, you're not really a Sunday school teacher unless you have been teaching for at least 3 or 4 Christmases, and then you're beginning to understand what your job is. You will need to thoroughly understand the children and to know their level of understanding, and to be able to speak to them without being condescending and in the language which they can understand. You will need to speak slowly enough and clearly enough for them to be able to hear you. And I can tell you that this is not so easy as you might think. And then you say to him, well, this is great, Steve. I'm really enjoying this. I've been doing that for a few years. What else can I do? Well, then you need to begin to help in a youth meeting or in a youth club, a Christian youth club. And the next stage is to start to help to run a youth meeting, something that children over the age of, say, 15 can attend for, like an evening of fun or exercise, and with an epilogue before its close. And this is for a church, one of the most thorough works of God in the life of the young people of the church. Now, the young people will grow together, they will learn together, they will mature together, they'll grow up, they'll become young men and young ladies, and they will develop a sound understanding of the scriptures and a personal knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ as their Saviour. And they will be baptized together, and they will grow in their faith and integrate into the ministry of the church together. And this ministry will be the very lifeblood of the church, its foundation for the future. And the young people will marry, and they'll bring their children to church, and they will become the church's future. There's no need to worry about a family or a church that grows together over years and years of good pastoral ministry. The next stage, you say, well, that's interesting, Stephen. Thank you for that. The young people, yes, Yes, I've got that. You then will need to slowly open your ministry into that of Bible teaching. Bible teaching. So you're already a Sunday school teacher. You're already working with youth. The next stage is to begin to exercise your spiritual gifts by having an opportunity to lead services while others do the actual teaching or preaching. There's absolutely no substitute from learning how to be in front of people. This is big. If you're like me and you're very, very shy when you were young, then this is a very big thing. And I used to go into empty churches or into my own church when it was empty and go up into the pulpit, and I would read the scriptures loud and clearly, and so develop my preaching. And that meant that whenever I then went into the pulpit at a later date, I could draw upon that experience of being around that pulpit, and I could draw upon many years of practice in being able to speak. This will put you in front of people a lot. You will be leading the service. You will be praying in the service. You will be reading the scriptures publicly. Now, all of these things, they all help to contribute to what I call an all-round ministry. In time, you will have opportunities to give short talks on some biblical passage or some theme or answering some question. And if the church has an open Bible study, a conversational Bible study, where you can ask your questions and even make comments of your own, then all the better. That is absolutely an essential place to be able to think on your feet and to contribute together to the understanding of the scriptures. Now, quite early on in your ministerial development, you'll want to begin evangelistic work. You'll want to do that. This is a great area of ministry to become trained in, and the evangelistic elders will lead the church in its evangelistic outreach. Of course, there may also be pastoral elders in a church, and they also will lead the pastoral ministry of the church, and you'll be wanting to volunteer with both of those spheres of service. Some of it will be evangelistic and some of it will be pastoral, but both of them are the work of the elders of the church, and it means prayer and it means literature distribution. Of course, all your life is a prayer, so you'd be praying in the Sunday school for the children, you'll be praying in the youth club for the young people, you'll be praying in gospel outreach and in ministry. All of these areas are focused upon just two things. There's prayer and the ministry of the word. Prayer and the ministry of the word. These two things are the foundation pillars of preaching ministry. Of course, in the evangelistic outreach, there's lots of aspects to it. There is literature distribution. So any church should be able to purchase good quality, ongoing Christian material that can be delivered and posted through people's doors. And then at some suitable time in the future, you might knock the door and meet the people that you've been giving this literature to, and maybe enter into conversation, maybe just invite them along to the church service. This is like a no-brainer, a no-brainer. And the next thing is, of course, evangelistic training courses. There will be evangelistic elders that will teach you evangelistic work, okay? And there will also be opportunities for you to begin evangelistic preaching from time to time. There's no substitute for that. And all of this will lead up to open air evangelistic services. Open air evangelistic services are the final destination for evangelists. It's a very, very exciting work, and it will have a huge impact on the neighborhood of the church and the wider field. So open air preaching is best conducted, in my opinion, where people live. You might have, like I have here outside of my window, I have a small circle of houses, And you might go there and talk to people and say, look, we're going to be having a little service in a while. Would you like to listen in? And you'll be amazed how with a nice introduction and some good quality literature and a good quality talk, people will come and they will listen. And you won't treat it like a ranting street preacher. You'll deal with it as a church service that takes place in the open air. People will come and they will listen and they'll be saved. Now, I'm sure that you realize this is a very long-term education. It's many areas of ministry. This is what makes a preacher, not just a simple little 1-week course. This is a whole lifetime. And what opportunities do you have to become a Sunday school teacher? These are our questions for today. And what would you do to set up or to join a Christian youth group? And how can you become involved in preaching services in some way? Maybe you're the one that's the greeter at the door. Maybe you're the one that gives people literature. Maybe you're the one that goes to the front and announces the hymns. But you become involved in the preaching services. And have you ever become involved in evangelistic work? You may say, oh, I don't know whether I can do that. Get alongside people who already do it and become involved with them. Be with them. Listen. Think about what they're doing. Copy their style. Do what they do and learn the arts of evangelism. And how can you help in Bible teaching services? Be with those who are Bible teachers. Become their students. Become their understudies and learn what is involved in becoming a preacher of the word. Now may the Lord bless you and encourage you in this great, great ministry. God bless you. Bye for now.